Mikanko deck. I think going second, it's able to just play off its strategy to just deal all the damage in one turn. But I think when you add Infernobles and Sinful spells to it, you're trying to do a lot more. But we'll see how it faces off against the Unchained deck.
David's going to start, so he's going to get to set up first. But that actually could work against him, right? When you're playing against Mikanko, he doesn't know that yet. But you kind of don't want to put monsters up because all you're doing is setting your own life points to 0.
You know, I think it would be a lot better for David, or sorry, for Timothy, had this been maybe a couple weeks ago, where Mikanko was truly unknown. You wouldn't know how to play against any of the cards. You'd probably pick up and read every card. Not that I think David is going to be an expert on the Mikanko cards at this point, but you have to be aware of them, right?
Certainly, certainly. A duelist who got this far in the tournament with that record likely did his homework, and so he may actually be very well prepared for Mikanko. It's one of those things where, you know, you want to make friends play testing so that they can help get you that experience against the decks.
Yeah, as well as just paying attention to the streams that we've had so far. There's been just so much coverage of the deck being just that really popular sleeper.
It absolutely is, but looks like we're just thinking here. No, we're just going to grab another Shavara. Gotcha.
Yeah, this is a very standard opening line. Normally, if Yama is going to add Shavara here, that means Aruha is already in the hand, so you get extra free advantage here. You have a lot of safety. You don't necessarily have to use the effect of any given destruction effect to try to add back the Shavara in the graveyard. You could just try to make the full field right now, playing into Nibiru a little less.
Yes. Certainly, but we already know that Unchained does not fear Nibiru, so it'll probably keep playing. Looks like Aruha's going to go ahead and get rid of the Unchained trap card, and time to pick up the deck.
Chamber is going to be able to special summon another Unchained monster from the deck here. I believe at this point you're just going to get a copy of Sarama. There she is.
Sarama.
Yep, Sarama is going to activate its effect to destroy the Aruha and reset that chamber.
I will activate Sarama targeting chamber.
Yeah, somebody's got a Millennium Eye reading right into his mind.
At this point, I've just seen it so many times, I know exactly what's going. The only thing that I'm really interested in is, if you're going for this line of play...
Anything here?
No. Oh, so, okay, that does make a little more sense as well. Keep in mind, the trap cards can only special summon from the deck, but the Unchained Twins can, in fact, special summon from the hand. So that's where the Shyama came from.
Certainly can help. Now, that Unchained Soul... or should be Unchained Soul Rage, certainly can help to link off maybe the Mikankos. There might be a possibility that there's a way to get rid of them before that damage hits.
You definitely want to do it before any equip spells are on the field, because while any of the equip spells are on the field, I believe, is it Huli? Or
I want to say it might be that prevents them from being targeted after they have an equip
the
spell.
green one, yeah. I think it is Huli, but I'm not super sure. That's the one that's going to block all the Mikanko cards from being targeted. You want to just get that off the field before any equip spells on the field. Not necessarily the easiest thing to do. So, okay, this makes a lot of sense. I really wanted to know why he went for Chamber before going for Escape, especially when you're looking at a hand that's going to likely leave the Rage on the field. You don't really need to search Chamber if you're going to leave the Rage on the field. You want to get access to Escape, but if you're setting an additional card from your hand, that's likely already the Escape.
Maybe he was playing safe too, but it's time to see what these Mikankos are all about. Do see Huli taking the front of the hand there, so he might be summoning it, but instead...
We see a lot. There is a Ken.
Oh, so maybe we are going to see Gen the Diamond Tiger and Ken the Warrior Dragon.
Normally you don't want to lead with Ken, you'd rather summon Gen because you want the effect of Ken on your opponent's side of the field. But even then, I think at this point you just use the Caesar right now, because anytime Caesar gets to trade up at all, it's just worth your value, because again, not once per turn, you get to detach twice for this effect.
Powerful card that kind of reminds me of the Evil Czar strategy, right? Both being able to do 2 negates.
It looks like Ken wasn't even activated, it was just a normal summon here.
Now that's interesting. You don't usually see that monster summoned to the field unless it's going to use its powerful effect.
Oh, okay. He just wants a warrior on the field so that Firefly Lady is able to special summon itself.
Control warrior, you can summon it, right?
Correct. And it is an ignition effect, so I would have to declare effect to summon.
So we're going to go to an open game state in between. Does that mean we're going to use the Unchained Soul maybe to link that
ignition
off?
Effect is special because I control a warrior.
How many cards do you have?
It doesn't seem like we do.
He's going to go ahead and let him do all this. I think he's not super concerned about 2 warriors right now. Like, every single card he has effectively deals with 2 warriors, you know, as far as, like, if you assume the immediate threat is Isolde. As far as I'm fairly certain that Firefly Lady is... Oh, it looks like Firefly Lady is an effect that activates in hand.
Yes.
So even then, just being able to use Caesar to get rid of it outright, also probably fine.
That is correct. It is an ignition effect. So because it activated, well, you can say no to it.
And there is that copy of Escape that we assume is also there, that's set, but necessarily not known to Timothy here. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to go for another copy of Chamber unless you assume that you get to play into the field that way.
He's going to use his Triple Tactics talent.
So this is interesting. This might... you might have to force out the escape here, or you just have to use Shrivara on your Caesar right now.
Draw.
Oh, he's using it to draw. That's fine.
Oh, okay, okay.
No problems here.
Yeah, drawing is really not...
No problems at all. Ash Blossom immediately cuts that off.
Thrust?
Okay. That's, I mean, if you're leading with talents here and you're using thrust tactics already used, I wonder what you're even going for that matters at this point.
Well, the sky's the limit. He can add any spell or trap to his hand that's a normal spell, so let's see what he grabs.
He only has, I believe, 3 other cards in his hand, because so it was Ken, it was Tactics, and it was Reinforcing the Army for Fireflint.
It looks like we're going to grab Preparation of the Right, so it might be ritual time.
All right, we're probably going to go ahead and add the Mikanko level 6 monster here.
Because they could not add the level 9.
Which is 6 or lower ritual, right?
7 or lower, but yes.
You don't have a ritual spell.
Yeah.
But the only one he cares about is 6. Looks like it's going to be Ohime, the Manifested Mikanko.
A very strong card, often, like, well, not often seen, but initially seen at the release of Amazing Defenders in the Tierleman strategy, being able to add more free level 6 monsters to the field to go into Beatrice, but pretty good in its own actual strategy.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing just from, again, performance in YCS Indianapolis, Santa Cruz, and here.
I added Mikanko card, and then I just kind of...
So you're going to go ahead and add a Mikanko card from the deck to the hand.
First,
Yeah, you're good.
Can be another Ohime, though.
Can I read that trap while yours? It's
Yeah, so it's going to go ahead and add, I can't tell which spell he's adding here. He's going to discard the trap. The trap is going to be able to use its effect in the graveyard to float another monster if he's able to. But this is going to be able to, I guess now it really depends on which spell. It looks like it could be Arabesque.
Oh no. Activate Water Arabesque.
Yep, it is Arabesque.
It is.
can I read Arabic?
So let's as a class, during your main phase, you can special summon a Mikanko monster from your hand or deck with a different original name than the equip monster, and if you do equip it with this card, then return the monster that was previously on the field back to the hand.
Yeah, I think you absolutely negate this in some fashion. I mean, because it does summon from the deck, I do believe you are... oh, you can't use Caesar on it because it activates itself as just a regular equip spell. It doesn't do anything on activation, so you likely have to use some kind of destruction effect now. You're probably free to use... You can't use that escape, not that one. The middle one you can, if it is escape. Would you look at that?
Ah, there we go. Bloody Mind working again.
Resolves.
Doesn't have any response there, so we are going to go ahead and resolve that.
I imagine Rage is going to be able to look through that graveyard, add Samsara back to hand.
Yep.
Targeting Sarama.
Oh, that one, yes. And then Yama's going to summon back that Rage.
That is the only weakness of this matchup. Because those are equip spells, they do have to be faceable on the field when their effect comes to resolve. And since it was destroyed before that, well, no Arabesque.
Interesting that he actually used the Yama here to summon back the Rage. I mean, it's important to have the effect available, but because you already have Chamber set, maybe you don't want to leave it vulnerable on the field. Oh, because, okay, Ken and Gen are once per turn effects, not on summon effects. He opted to wait until this point.
Not a bad idea. Does mean he can go playing, but he's decided not to. Timothy's going to scoop. Taking a look at the crowd, just kind of nodding his head, understanding what's going on. But don't worry, great record, and still 2 more duels to go, possibly.
At least one.
At least one. At least one. I'd love 2 more duels, but I'm sure his opponent thinks likewise differently.
Yeah, I mean, we saw just Unchained really showing why it's so strong. It was just too many interruptions for you to do. When Caesar goes unanswered and is able to potentially negate twice, I don't think I've ever seen the Unchained strategy lose when that happens.
It's really hard to play through it. I mean, the reason why we've been celebrating all these other decks that put up powerful synchro boards is because they have multiple negates. And with just that one monster, you've got 2 in and of itself. So it really allows you not only to say no, but then you can keep playing. We can say, if that's another Fiend monster, you can go ahead and destroy it.
Absolutely, and when it does happen to leave the field, which it almost certainly will, it gets to add Dark Contract with the Gates, which is going to be an immediate, powerful fall. It puts a Fiend on the field, destroys a card, puts an Xyz monster on the field if you want to try to go for Zeus. But overall, it's just a lot of value that you get from one monster, that if it's actually able to use its effect without having to even deal with the value it generates from just leaving the field, I think it's really hard to lose those games. And that's why Unchained typically, if it's able to see a following turn after its initial setup, will always win those games. You have to really end the game that turn after it sets up.
Again, Unchained just kind of bobs and weaves. It's not stopped by what other decks are stopped by. It continues to play. And so, well, ever since Duelist Nexus, it's been a fan favorite. It was a fan favorite before then, too, but obviously it's a lot stronger now than it used to be. So what do you side deck, though, in this particular circumstance? Do you just try to play it again, do your turn the way you wanted to the first time?
I think if you're David and you know now that you're playing against Mikanko, you keep most parts of your combo the same, but you want to have access to like non-targeting removal. So you want to have access to Forbidden Droplet, and you need to be really aware of potentially Chaos Goddess in your extra deck as well as Typhon in your extra deck. Those are going to be some of the most valuable resources as dealing with an established Mikanko field.
Absolutely there. Well, it's one of those things where we do see some cards did get sided in. Didn't see as much happening with Timothy. Maybe he did that off camera, but would be nice to see some of that, you know, Yubel, Amazona Swordswoman style play. But we haven't really gotten to see any of the damage reflected back yet, so the deck's not quite doing what it was supposed to.
I mean, we even saw from just that game alone, there's already a lot of powerful cards that are really strong in this matchup. In the main deck, we see Triple Tactics Thrust, Triple Tactics Talents. Those are all very strong at being able to deal with the field. But again, it seems like at this point, it's kind of more beneficial to try to stop Unchained from getting to that point, which is not that simple. You can't ever do it with one card, right? It's very rare that a single copy of Ash Blossom Infinite from the Spectator will actually get the job done, and there's no blowout effect from the hand, such as Drone Lockbird or Dimension Shifter, that will actually do enough against the strategy either. So you need to kind of pair them. So if you have a mixture of the cards, that's usually good enough that like, at least stop them from getting to the Caesar, which cuts it off enough. But we'll have to see what happens here in game number 2. Can David do it again?
And the crowd's cheering for him.
I feel like they're cheering for Timothy.
There's some fans on both sides. Players exhibiting great sportsmanship, and it looks like Timothy is going to be starting up.
Stand by me.
Yeah.
I'm start off normal summon again.
Oh, that's the one you want.
Anything on summon.
Working on something.
I will activate Gen's effect to summon Ken on your side of the
Does that resolve?
I think it might.
It will not.
Oh, okay. Looks like Infinite Impermanence coming down.
That is the bane of this card's existence, is it trying to resolve. But it is a warrior, and you do have Fireflint Lady to just keep going here. So these are able to finally link off into...
I'll go Soul.
Is Soul here? I wonder what warrior monster he's going to add to hand on summon if he chooses to.
Yes.
Oh, a Phantasme!
Oh, now that's a power card we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, this card is really strong against the Rescue strategy as well as the Unchained Mirror. But, you know, if you know your opponent's going to be summoning a Link monster, you might as well put it in.
All right, so he is searching the deck.
And I summon her this.
Not going to be able to summon that card, but might set up for next turn. But based on what happened last time, there might not even be a next turn.
Yeah, like Fireflint Lady is definitely ideal when you already use one this turn. It's a very strong extender, but I think like now we get to really see what is the Infernoble part of this deck. Oh, and the Drone Lockbird.
Commentator's curse. I don't think we do get to see the rest of the deck.
I mean, it's probably, you still get to send 4 equip spells maybe. You'll see how far that goes. Putting the equip spells for the Mikanko strategy in the graveyard, a lot of them do have some kind of beneficial effect when they're in the graveyard, or at least there's more access to them when they're in the graveyard as well. I believe it is the green one, like I don't know my name like immediately, but the green one is a reborn in the graveyard.
I think you're talking about Mikanko Dance Mayoashidori.
I'll believe you, yeah.
If this card is at the graveyard, you can target a Mikanko monster in your graveyard, special summon, and if you do, equip it with this card, but banish it when it leaves the field.
See, I half knew what I'm talking about. In fact, the only thing I didn't know was the name, and I think that's okay.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
It looks like he's going for a Ken here.
Now, speaking of teamwork, Gen and Ken are back in action.
Summon Gen to your side of the board.
Sure, I guess David will have to accept discarding a card.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing in Unchained. Setting your graveyard up in advance can make for some powerful plays later.
Yeah, I do believe with these, you do have the choice. So if there is a Sharvara in his hand, this actually sets him up a little bit more.
Mandatory effects, make you discard one.
I discard a card?
Yeah, you get to choose.
All right, staring at his hand here.
How ideal can this be? Does he have a Sharvara to throw away?
Any 6-star fire attribute fiends? It must be a painful choice, that's for sure. Trying to figure out which of many cards to send to the graveyard.
I'm going to slam my head on the table.
Oh, we'll just say it's a painful decision then. Still hasn't made one, though.
Okay, it looks like he doesn't have such a free choice. He's going to just send Abomination Prison, which is odd. That is such a strong card. How good does your hand have to be for that to be the card you throw away?
It might be that good. David's also up a game, so you can take a little bit of time. You can maybe make some different plays than you would ordinarily see if that closes the game out.
Yeah, so this is, I think, another reason why Timothy's deck is built the way it is. When you have Ken again, you really are trying to take advantage of those tactics cards, whether it be Talents or Thrust. Doesn't get to get as much value now when you know Droll is already resolved, but here we do have access to Arabesque.
Target Phantasm.
That's interesting. Because he targeted Phantasma, he can choose to use Phantasma's effect to negate it.
Okay, he's going to use that Phantasma effect, discarding his card, and that's going to stop that.
All right, so there's 2 key engine pieces gone now. How many more cards are in Timothy's hand that are alive at this point? We know he does have the Firefly Lady. What is the other card at this point? There's 2 other cards at least.
I think I see a third one down there. And
well, one of them is Firefly Lady, right? Okay, so there's the Change of Heart. So we got to bait out the Phantasma because you really wanted that Change of Heart to resolve.
Do you have 2 level 3 monsters on the board? Are we about to open the overlay network for Acid Golem of Destruction?
I would imagine XC's armor, I believe, it's not Fortress, which is the level 3 one, would also be able to draw him a card, but if it wasn't for, of course, the Drone Lockbird in this case.
Going through the extra deck now, thinking about his decision.
Activate Arabesque to bounce off to your hand.
Yeah.
Gonna go ahead and bounce there.
Okay, so he had another copy of Arabesque. Or was he able to add it back from Grave that I missed? Or it was another copy, right?
I think so, yes. But here we go, swapping over. We're going to take a quick look at Hule there.
Yep, so while the equipped card is on the field, you're able to add a Mikanko trap card from your deck to your hand, I believe?
Looks like it.
But I mean, not in this case.
Not going to add it this time, but no, Hule, the Jewel Mikanko, would have been able to do that. Got a bunch of monsters on the field. We've set it up, but we haven't gone anywhere yet, right? Bunch of bodies, but not necessarily accessing the extra deck yet.
All right, looks like he's going to be going into Little Knight here.
It's a safe play, especially when things didn't go according to plan. You need a turn to survive.
All right, so he's just going to use the Huli and the Isolde, and he's going to try to banish from the graveyard here. Yeah, okay, this makes sense. He's going to just try to banish the chamber just to try to play around an immediate Sarama. Sarama being able to target the chamber, setting it back, and immediately destroying it again would be really free access. And then he's going to use the effect of the green spell in the graveyard to just summon back the Huli and then go into, looks like 3 level 3s. Is that a Sura King? It is.
Wow, okay. So that Mayo Washidori really paid off there because you could get the 3 level 3s.
I have never seen this card summoned in my life.
I mean, I've opened it before, but I've just never, like,
You've never been happy about that either. Like,
hey, it could be a good card in every deck. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is amazing in that way. But for those who haven't seen it, again, it's 3+ level 3 monsters, which we just saw the 3 there, Gen, Ken, and Huli. While this card has material, it can attack a number of times each battle phase up to the number of materials attached to it. Start the damage step. If this card battles against 200 attack, when another monster's effect is activated, quick effect, attach one of those materials from this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. You can only use that effect once per turn, but it does give him some reusable negates, some safety there.
Okay, so that is definitely the effect you want to pay attention to. And it looks like that's 2 real interruptions in the form of SP Little Knight as well as the monster negate from a Sura King that David has to deal with. Those are all very effective as long as we know that he has a Firefly Lady in hand as well. So it's only those 2 face-up effects that you have to deal with.
Well, he's also whittled his hand down too. Timothy's turn may not have gone according to plan, but it did whittle down the resources of David bit by bit by bit. So considering he only has 2 points of interaction, that might be all he needs because, well, his opponent doesn't have much of a hand anymore.
It looks like he does have another copy of Chamber in the hand. He has 2 other monsters. Let's see. I hope one of them wasn't Shyama. It kind of looked like it was Shyama. I imagine that was drawn for turn if that was the case.
Now, at a certain point, David is going to have to assess whether he's able to push through or whether it would make more sense to concede and go to the next game. But he's still got plenty of cards to play, so it's his decision for now.
I also think they have plenty of time at this point. 26 minutes is pretty good to be able to start a game 3. Like, if you assume like the remainder of the game takes like 10 minutes, 16 is fine. Both players will at least get a turn that way.
Absolutely.
Looks like we are able to start playing here. Will it be Aruha or will it be Shavara? It's going to be Aruha here. Do you negate that? A Sura King can negate any monster effect activated, right?
It does, but I also believe it destroys it too, so that may not be what he wants to do.
It only matters when those guys are destroyed on the field.
Oh, that's right. So that means that the Sura King may use the effect.
How much stack is that? 21? 21.
I don't think you want to enter battle with it, based on the other effects that we heard.
Gaining a little bit of attack, protecting the board. It's a really like heads-up play, actually, to be able to integrate that when your turn doesn't go as according to plan.
Yeah, I guess I wonder how many situations you've been in where you just have a bunch of level 3 monsters on the field, and you're like, well, what can I do with these? Yeah, and it looks like he is opting to use the Sura King there. It's very smart. Like, definitely the one you want to use here. This puts David back down to, I think, 1 card in his hand. Will it be a Shavara to keep him in this game, or maybe even a Rakea? Yeah, he's confirming if Aruha can even activate its effect at this point. He cannot.
Oh, pass.
Oh, no, that's going to be
the end of his turn.
Draw for turn?
Timothy needed another turn, and now he's got one, so it's time to draw for turn.
It looks like he drew Mikanko's Ceremony.
Mayo bring back. Hulu?
Yep, he's going to be able to immediately bring back Huli here. Huli's going to be able to add a trap card now that he's free from the
Mikanko trap.
Yeah.
shackles of Droll and Lockbird.
Time to do another Mayo Washidori dance.
I mean,
Sorry.
we've seen this in previous Mikanko feature matches, but
will go back.
oddly enough, when there is an empty field, it's a lot harder to do damage.
Let's see.
You got to give your opponent a monster sometimes. That's why I was hoping to see that Assa Golem.
El normal.
Oh, normal the Fire Foot Lady. Okay, because there is a warrior on the field. That's be a little nice, a warrior, but like a.
Maybe didn't want to activate the effect. Not sure the significance there.
Banished.
Maybe wants to hold it for later, but we'll see. Is he going for some kind of access code line? It looks like it is. It's going to be just a 4300 access code.
Gain attack.
It's like a maximum gold copy there. Taking a quick look at old friend access code talker. Still a great card, a great boss monster.
Yeah.
I imagine Timothy will not be using access code's effect to destroy the set.
I will attempt to go battle phase.
Yep, you're just going to go straight into battle phase.
Attempt to swing for 43.
Yeah.
Attempt to swing for 23. Oh, activate effect, gain attack. Swing for 23.
So here
Oh,
comes
yeah.
that 200 attack
And he just gets to attack twice.
Yeah.
That should be enough.
for each material.
But I mean, he's going to have to just activate Chamber here in the. Oh, he's going to take all of these. That's fine.
23.
And then when access code goes into battle phase, you use the Chamber to summon back the Aruha in defense.
Can you just attack?
Oh, I think he didn't know that it could attack based on the number of materials.
I guess I'll try this.
Yep.
This is the cool thing about Unchained is because they're just so sticky on the field. Like you can't really try to destroy this deck by battle.
Gain attack.
It's definitely immortal if you've ever seen one.
Oh, but a Sure King is not one. I mean, it still has material to detach.
Oh, I forgot I had to do that.
43 and 23.
So we're still taking the damage. At least the first two attacks, but we're deciding what we're going to do here.
Yeah, it looks like he just forgot about the Sure King's effect to attack again, or not attack again, but to just negate a monster effect. So you probably should have blocked the access code tracker just to take the minimum amount of damage.
I'll negate.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm fumbling the bag here.
Yeah, Timothy not really realizing that Chamber could have been an option there.
It's not over till the last card is played.
He still has that one effect negation with the Sure King, and there's not that many
I'll
cards
just
in David's hand to work with. So even if a top deck Turr Guide was there, the Sure King should deal with it. He does have the trap card now for the Mikanko deck.
But there is still a single material attached to a Sure King, so he went ahead and scooped.
Yeah, I think I know who the fans are for.
Okay, okay. David's still doing good. Timothy just taking a moment.
I'm sorry.
Hanging in there, but you're right. There's definitely a lot of Timothy fans in the crowd.
Oh, what a good sport! Like, you have to love when people are there to support you. You know, like.
I said something on my breath. Did I pick up or anything?
That's okay.
I'm sorry about that. Apologize.
Little heat of the moment, but again, it's been 9 rounds of Yu-Gi-Oh! Again, it is a marathon, not a sprint. Now, players are looking into their decks and side decks, so it's possible that we might see a few changes here, just a last-second switch-up.
What do you think David has to really account for this matchup at this point?
Well, I will say that there's a lot of different ways that you can disrupt it. So if you had anything from an Ash Blossom, maybe an Effect Veiler, you could go ahead and swap that in. Because again, Mikanko doesn't just happen. It has to get its other monsters. It has to get its other cards. And so if you could stop the searches, that would be a way to stop it. And maybe we might see an amazing quick play spell card. Can you imagine Mistaken Arrest being played right now?
I mean, if Droll was already good, then I think Mistaken Arrest is going to do just enough. And I think even just looking at those DD Crows, because of the effect of that a Reborn spell in the graveyard, I think that might even be more valuable than some of these other effects. But I don't know if it's enough when you already get to that point, right?
Absolutely. It's one of those things where you don't want to water down your deck so much that it stops doing what it's supposed to do. Obviously, some decks have more tech slots than others, but if you really look at the lists here, feels like Timothy has a little bit more flexibility. Obviously wants to use those Triple Tactics talents, those Triple Tactics Thrust to grab whatever they need in order to get things going. But this is going to be a heated game 3. I mean, obviously the crowd's been here all day. They want to see the greatest duels. And we're about to go into a great one.
Yeah, David's going to try to do a repeat performance of game 1 where he's able to do his full combo, be able to interact with every single card in Timothy's hand, and just not have any way to have his field broken, really. He just wants to have every single interaction count for a maximum value. I don't think Timothy's going to want to let that happen, but I don't know how many options he has to really get through, because it's not like he didn't open any of those powerful effects only second. He did have Change of Heart in his hand. He did have multiple ways to try to break through.
Great shot of the crowd there, just getting ready. It's one of those things where even you duelists at home, I hope you're cheering too, because this is it. After this match, this is going to be the last match we have. But it's been a blast for sure, and I can't wait to see how this final duel turns out.
Yeah, definitely a lot of stuff we haven't seen. It's crazy how often we go into one of these game 3s here where there's something you just have not seen the entire tournament up to this point.
That is the magic of this great game we love.
All right, I did see a lava golem.
I definitely saw a lava golem.
I mean, I've seen lava golem happen to Unchained before, usually with some combinations of chambers and some other destruction effects, and they all come back. But you don't get the Caesar anymore, and I think that's the biggest step.
But you do give them a Fiend monster, which could be some interesting, little combinations of cards there. But still kind of thinking about it, looking at the hand.
Yeah, it looks like Timothy flashed us some of his hand for just everyone in the crowd here. He wants to let them know what he has access to. Oh, and that's a much weaker start for David here, having to start with the dot contact. You're not going to be able to have that as the follow-up unless you play multiple Requiems, which I just doubt. I don't think anyone should.
Nothing on resolution.
But as long as it's able to get going, it's at least going to let you get started.
We did see the Vice King Requiem added to the hand from the deck there, but not sure where the next play is going.
I mean, likely you're just going to summon it out to the field, summon the Deus Ex, and then you're going to try and destroy some form of trap card or like some effect that'll trigger to summon out another monster from your deck, likely Shavara, and then it's the same as if you open Tour Guide. It requires a lot more effort, but if it works, it works.
Timothy seems unsure of his play, kind of sorting through his hand there. Not sure if he's got a relevant card to activate.
Oh, I said nothing on resolution.
Oh, I thought you said think on resolution.
No.
Okay, yeah, there's a little bit of confusion there.
I was so confused. I'm so
Been a
sorry.
long day, Okay, looks like it was just a little confusion there, but players are ready to keep going.
I should have been more vocal.
Definitely got to communicate with your opponent, though.
Oh, my bad, sorry.
Yep, the DDD Vice King Requiem. Able to summon itself by sending the Dark Contract from the field to the grave. Now currently locked into exactly DDD monsters, but that's a good thing that Machina X is right on top there.
Yes.
Machine X. Summon.
Yes.
So now we'll see if he sets a trap card here, or even a set Wailing would work as well. Or maybe he has to normal summon something along those lines. Oh, another Dark Contract. Ooh, this is a really poor opening for David here.
Definitely only opened 2 copies
Oh,
of those.
no. Oh, actually, wait. Oh,
Pass? That may not be the hand he was hoping for.
so you might not look like a lot of interruptions here, but it played around the Lava Golem, and Machina X is currently live because he's able to detach the material as well as use the Dark Contract on the field.
Yeah, little did he know playing only one monster was the secret to victory.
Once per chain, when a monster activates its effect, and detach or destroy a Dark Contract.
It doesn't target, so it deals with Huli. Like, as long as it doesn't activate its, or if it does activate its effect, I don't think you would in this situation. You just have to bait it out in some capacity here.
Typically, we've been starting in Gens and Kens, but it looks like we're going to start with reinforcement of the... Oh, maybe not.
Well, it looks like Diabellstar. He's going to give up a Lava Golem here to special summon Diabellstar.
The Lava Golem putting in some work.
Yeah, let's see if it's going to be able to bait out the Machina X here. I don't think it should. I don't know how... Maybe David's going to take the gamble that Timothy's hand's really weak.
Sure.
Yep, no, it looks like he's going to let it go.
Went ahead and let it go. I mean, this is the first time you're seeing Diabellstar this late in the game, so it's obviously not integral to his combo.
Mm-hmm.
He is 3K.
Yeah, Deus King.
I'm going to go
Machina X
activate.
being very, very large here. All those DD monsters typically are. Now, you imagine when you open a hand like this where you're not able to get started at all, that means you have 0 Unchained cards, right? That is not an escape set. That is not a chamber set. It might be an infinite impermanence. It could be maybe some, like, again, as you mentioned, mistaken arrest, but clearly not.
It would have happened here. We already have been jumping on that bus, but it looks like reinforcements of the army is going to search through, and this is going to tell us a lot about where Timothy is going with this turn.
Looks like he's going for Gen here.
All right, the Diamond Tiger's back.
I just assume it's going to be normal summon and it's going to immediately be met with infinite permanence because I just have to assume that that's what that last set is.
Summon?
Okay, what level 1 is he going for? Is it just Renat?
Must be, because there doesn't look like there's a lot of other level 1 fire monsters in
I mean,
this deck.
Fire Flint Lady just a special summon a warrior from your hand. Or unless, am I missing one of the Mikankos being a level 1? Oh no, it is Fire Flint Lady. Okay.
No, unfortunately, the Mikankos are not level 1, not even the fire one. Hare. I think it's Hare.
That sounds like a fire name.
That's Hare.
Good intuition on that one.
Trying to figure out what's coming next.
All right, so he's going to be able to... Yeah, that one is definitely once per turn total. Like, you can only do one effect per turn. Wanted, you could do both effects on the same turn, because that card's unreasonable. But
It is a great card. Looks like we're going to see Gen, the Diamond Tiger again.
I just can't imagine this card resolves. But luckily, that's still 2 warriors, so it opens up the option for Isolde.
It's funny, now I see 2 warrior monsters and I immediately think super polymerization from earlier in the tournament. But that's not happening here.
I don't think he actually activated the effect yet.
He hasn't yet. It is an ignition effect, so we can hold off for just a moment. Take a look at the extra deck.
Yeah, he's trying to consider his options. Maybe he knows that he won't be able to extend any further if he activates it again and the Machinex is used. Given, but he would still be able to draw 2 cards, so I imagine that's always worth it. Like, it's not something you would ever throw away.
And to a degree, this deck is sort of choose your own adventure. A lot of different lines you can go through. But for this one, we're going to send those 2 to the graveyard. Might be going for SP Little Knight just to force it out, but I would imagine like the 2 tails, the Solde is definitely going to be what we're going for.
Yeah, because Little Knight is not going to be able to banish anything just yet because there were no extra deck monsters used.
Oh, but there is SP Little Knight.
So, okay, it will be able to at least trade with the Machinex because Machinex won't be able to attach it anymore.
Gotcha. Sorry about that. I will set 1.
Oh, very interesting.
Both players not getting the strong start that they showed in the previous duels.
Well, the Machinex really just put a damper in all of Timothy's plans for this turn. David's going to have to start taking some damage from the contract in the standby phase.
That's the dark contract you make with that game.
But I mean, now David should just enter battle phase attack the Little Knight and then try to play main phase 2. I don't think he should let this Little Knight do anything. He also still has the effect to destroy as well, so it should be battle phase, attack over the Little Knight. Yep.
Looks like that's the playbook we're filing.
Yep, going to go ahead and make sure that card gets no value whatsoever. Attack for some 1,400 points of damage here. Then he's going to be able to main phase 2, shuffle back that contract in the graveyard, destroy the set from Timothy.
Going right into main phase 2, just as expected. Although there weren't a lot of other cards he could play.
Declare effect on the back row.
Yep. Takes a
Destroy it, and this gets shuffled. I gain 1,000.
Okay.
Yeah, he gets the 1,000 right back.
Little rebate on that contract, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying to... I'm not super sure which Mikanko card that is. It's not Ceremony.
No, based on the pattern, it looks like it's probably Mikanko Kagura.
What does that one do?
So it can be used to ritual summon any Mikanko ritual monster. You got to tribute summon monsters from your hand or field whose levels equal or exceed the level of that ritual monster, and then you can apply the following effect. Destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number of equipped spells with different names in your graveyard, and if you do, inflict 1,000 points of damage to your opponent for each card destroyed. So not a bad way to set that up, but it's kind of weird in this particular matchup.
All right, so he is finally able to use the Sinful Spoil Snake Eye here. He's going to be able to put back the Diabell Star to the bottom of the deck and then add a level 1 fire from his deck to his hand. And he did draw Book of Eclipse return, so that is an answer to the Machinex.
Oh, sorry. Diabell Star Snake Eye?
Flipping stuff face down certainly has been helpful. It's been nice to see all these book cards kind of coming in and out of the format. Obviously, it was very popular during Kashtira because it was just a shutdown for that deck. But it still shows you that the card has a lot of longevity and can protect you just as well as it can be offensive.
All right, looks like it is going to be Fire Flint Lady. Do we see a multitude of warriors that are going to be useful in Timothy's hand? So we know Lava Golem, we know Book of Eclipse. What is that one last mystery card?
You can just see. Now he's doing a good job of keeping the hand off camera, so we won't be able to see it.
I will set 1.
Oh, it looks like it's not going to be enough because he has to set the Book of Eclipse here just to try to live.
Looks like they're pausing the main round, but we still have about 10.5 minutes here for us at the desk.
It's going to be another 1,000 that David has to take.
Hey, if he's lucky, he can rebate that contract too.
I have to imagine you drew some playable cards by now. You've had 2 draws. You can't do anything?
Uh-oh, looks like another set card.
Okay, so he's going to have to shuffle back the contract on the field to do this. So hopefully it's enough to play.
That'll at least get him his 1,000 life points back.
Yeah, it's just effect.
So this is going to be able to get access to Shayama. Oh, sorry, not Shayama, Sharvara, almost certainly.
That's good.
Because you assume it's either Escape or Chamber or Wailing here.
I would assume so. If he's setting up to destroy his own card, it must be...
Okay, I can target from the field. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so activation is fairly legal here. So sending, shuffling the contract back. Sending, oh, Abomination Prison, that one also works, yeah.
It shows you how like non-linear this hand has been. He hasn't been drawing his trap cards. He hasn't been drawing his monsters. Here's where we've been at.
Oh, and he has Soul, okay. So Soul likely going to be able to force out the back row here, and it looks like David's going to have to go into Sharvara, but I think this Book of Eclipse might do a lot of work right now.
It is going to let his opponent draw, though, if he happens to survive on the field. And, well, when you're going in the game this late, he might still draw into a card that could be activated from the hand and stop Timothy's turn again.
Yeah, but I think, like, if there isn't anything specific that's going to be useful enough here. Yeah, so Eclipse is going to be chained.
There's the chain. People clapping for that.
Yeah. Oh! That's game.
It did include an effect that would draw a card.
That's going to be enough. All he has to do is just enter the battle phase at this point.
And there's the handshake. Clutch use of Ash Blossom closes out this final duel. You can see it on David's face. I don't think he knew he was going to make it out of that alive, but he seems grateful for the cards he chose to play.
Yeah, I mean, you have to wonder what he was having in his hand that he couldn't play up to this point. It makes sense it was his points of interaction that don't generate a higher ceiling, but it will protect you in situations like this.
Now, I was saying it earlier, as Yugimoto always says, it isn't over until the last card is played, and that Ash Blossom really proved that point. Now, here's the good news, though. For either of our players, they have great records. So going into day 2 tomorrow, they're likely going to qualify. And they're still going to be able to participate. Because, again, we have 2 more rounds tomorrow morning.
Absolutely. So we'll be going right back to our winner here at the Round 9 feature match. And we'll have to see just how confident they are at going into potentially the top cut here tomorrow.
Absolutely. It's going to be neat to see what our winner has to say. And he'll be able to tell us all about how he feels about his day 2 qualification.